Hey everybody, Omega is here, and this is going to be the Q&A video. Got some pretty good questions here. Not quite as many as I was expecting, but that'll be just fine. I like to give nice full answers anyway, and that does kind of work better with lower questions in general, anyways. But we're just gonna jump right in because I have much to say. So. The first real question comes from S1290553. You have a lot of numbers in your name, good sir. And who first tells me the Persona 4 videos are good. Well, thank you, but they're not my videos. They're Trent's. He makes them, he edits them. I just pretend to be Ray. And and though that gag has kind of stolen the show, but that's pretty much all I do. So, all credit for Persona 4 goes to Trent, not me. So, and the first real question, what Fire Emblem class would I want to be? And that is a pretty easy question, actually. Of course, I'm gonna be a Myrmidon. I mean, not just because that's who I would want to be, like in terms of physical dimensions, like if my current self were an actual Fire Emblem character, that is the class that would fit me the best. Because I'm not the strongest dude, and swords are cool. So, of course I'm going to go with swords. I'm not going to be one of those like magic douchebags. And even though I don't consider myself to be above average in speed. Like, I'm not just like super fast, but I don't think of myself as slow. I actually got a compliment today about yeah. I actually got a compliment this morning from somebody in the gym. This girl just came up and told me, she was like, "Hey, you run really well," and I'm like, nobody's ever told me that before." So. But my speed would be pretty good, so I would have average strength and good speed. I'm pretty small dude, so my defense and my HP wouldn't be that good. So you would probably pass me over for the other Myrmidon slash Swordmasters in the game. But that is totally what I would be if I were a Fire Emblem class, and if I just wanted to be a Fire Emblem class. Also, they're really flashy and they kill stuff good. That is also why I would want to be that class. Can't forget that. That's the most important part. Anyways, his second question is, what job slash career am I going for in real life? I've been in college. I just started my third year, but I'm still classified as a sophomore because for some semesters I only took 3 classes. But when I started college, I was a computer science major because, I've always been kind of tech nerdy, and that's what I started out with. But on my very first semester of college, I took a general psychology course because it was in my core, and I really, really, really liked it. So after a year and a half of college, I was kind of thinking about it, and I wasn't really happy, like being a computer science major. And I was never really like passionate about that as a career choice when I started. It was just kind of like the only thing that I viewed myself as good at. And it was like the kind of the thing that everybody was expecting me to do. So I just kind of like went along for the ride. But I took that general psych course, and I started looking into it. I remembered how much I liked that class. I started looking into psychology as a profession, and I got really, really into it, and I changed my major to psychology, and I'm going pretty strong now. I'm hoping to get into specifically into clinical psychology, doing like psychiatry and like hospital work, stuff like that. Because there's a whole lot of stuff that you can do with the psych degree. So I've been kind of warded off from it. Like a lot of people, when I tell people that I'm a psych major, they'll tell me that it's really, really hard to get a job with a psych degree. And I've heard that from like 500 different people, but I'm still gonna try. I've always liked to help people, and I've always been like the friend that everybody comes to talk about their problems and whatever. So I suppose I kind of had more of a history with it than I thought I did. And it's just something that like I'm passionate about now. It's something that I actually want for myself, that I'm not actually just going along for the ride for. So even if it doesn't work out, it's something that I still have to try. Because I think I could do a lot of good. So that is what I hope to do. As soon as I finish my bachelor's in the small town that I'm doing now, I'm gonna go for my master's in Savannah, Georgia, which is one of the largest cities in Georgia. It's a lot nicer than Atlanta. It's pretty much why I'm going over there. So that is my career stuff, and thank you, Gitza, for your questions. Next we have Shining Bolt, who asks that if Persona 4 is my third favorite game of all time, what is my first? Well, first of all, it's really nice that you remember specifically that Persona 4 is my third favorite game of all time. Although I think that like I left a comment on your channel or something, or maybe it was a message. I don't know. I think that's how you know that. But you are correct. Persona 4 is my third favorite game of all time. My first is a bit of an odd choice because a lot of the times when you ask somebody this question, it's not uncommon to get this question, especially as an LPer. A lot of people pick, like games from their childhood or games that have like a lot of nostalgia. And as far as my top 10 list goes, there are plenty of spots that are certainly filled by that, like Chrono Cross and Legend of Dragoon are are on my top 10 list, and those are very good games. Played the crap out of Chrono Cross when I was a child. Like Chrono Cross kind of like was the one game that I associate with my childhood more than any other game. Like me and two of my friends literally played that game for years, for about 3 or 4 years, like nonstop. Just like every time, like either they came over to my house, or I came over to their house. We were always playing Chrono Cross. We were always finding new stuff. We were always like making strategies and making builds with the elements and stuff like that. But it's not my favorite game of all time. My favorite game of all time, as I said already, is a bit of an odd choice. It is a game on the DS by the name of The World Ends With You. It's kind of it's not as popular as it should be, but it's not like nobody's ever heard of it. It's not obscure, is what I'm trying to say. But not enough people have played it that should have played it. And if I could like essentially force every gamer in the world to try one game out, it would be The World Ends With You. And I get asked a lot, like, well, why is it your favorite game, or like why is that game so especially good? Because I'm very fanboyish about it. But part of it comes from like really the timing. I was in high school at the time, and I was kind of getting, or I thought that I might be getting out of gaming, because like anytime that I heard about like a new game that was coming out or something like that, like I was very very pessimistic about it. I kind of viewed like every game as like, hey, this is another Call of Duty, this is another God of War, and just like I felt like I'd played everything already before it even came out, and like I there was no like originality anymore. Like everything was it was boring, honestly. Like I felt like I was getting tired of video games. And then I happened to play The World Ends With You, and during my gaming drought, it was a bucket of cold spring water to the face, because it's such a great game. It's affected me on an emotional level more than any other game ever has. Like that game left emotional scars in my life, and like even today, like I still play it actually sometimes, and it's like I can't play that game and not smile. It makes me so happy. But it is a very good game. The gameplay, although initially difficult to learn, is very very addictive. Lots of not Pokemon to collect in the forms of pins that do all of your attacks, and some of them evolve in other pins, and they only evolve in special ways, and then you have to get all of your equipment, and there's like tons of it. The in-game sprites are really pretty. The music actually fits so well that if you just listen to it without the game, it's not as good, which is kind of a point for and against the game. But I really like it because the music fits the game perfectly. Like when you're playing the game, it's like, hey, this music totally fits, and it's such a good game. And it really affected me more than any other game that I've ever played in my life. I don't want to spoil anything too much. I'm trying not to go into plot details, but it's a really great game. I would highly, 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 highly recommend anybody else play it if you get the chance. It's pretty cheap these days, and I'm also crossing my fingers for a sequel. So I've heard some people clamoring for a potential The World Ends Wii U, which I think is a really dumb name to essentially name the sequel of your game the same as the first one, basically. But I'm also crossing my fingers for it. I hope that it's not a sequel so much as it is like a different story. Like I hope that if they do make a second one, it has nothing to do with the first one, except like maybe like some cameos or something. I'd be cool with that. But like from a plot standpoint, like I think that like the game is good enough on its own. It stands very well on its own. I think it's done. And the next one should be about a new set of characters, a new Reaper's game, just everything different. So that's what I want, and maybe we'll get it. So, anyways, I think I've talked on this question long enough. So, as another aside, as far as what my second favorite game is, it's actually Persona 3, which a lot of people. Well, I mean, I'm not completely alone in thinking this, but it seems to be like there's more people that think Persona 4 is a superior game than think that Persona 3 is a superior game. And I don't knock those people because they're both very great games. When I tell people which one they might like better, really it all comes down to what you look for in a video game. Because from a gameplay standpoint, I will easily admit that Persona 4 kicks the crap out of Persona 3. The fact that you can just actually control your party members by itself is just such. It cut down on so much frustration, and they actually added that in Persona 3 Portable. But the soundtrack of Persona 4 way better. It's actually bearable. Like the battle thing for Persona 3 makes me want to like wave some glow sticks around and like do drugs and crap. But the story of Persona 3 and the characters of Persona 3 are ones that I like a whole lot better. I really like the darker nature of the story of Persona 3, which isn't to say that like Persona 4 can get dark at times and Persona 3 can get lighthearted at times. But Persona 3 ultimately goes a lot deeper than Persona 4 does, and I really like that a whole lot. That really got to me. And the characters, which I've heard a lot of people say that they think the characters are a mixed bag, but I think that's how it should be. Like I don't think that you shouldn't like every character. Look, I mean, this is a dorm full of school kids that are randomly thrown together for the same reason. But I mean, I don't think that you should like every character. So, and that kind of enhances it for me. And they're not afraid to kill the characters off. Every almost detail about the characters in Persona 3 has like a backstory to it, like stuff that you wouldn't think should be backstoried. Like Junpei's, how he cuts jokes all the time. He's kind of like the class clown character, and there's a backstory reason for that. And I really like that. And like Akihiko, who is like a boxer dude, he trains all the time, and there's like a psychological complex that he has for doing this. So it's like there's backstory for for almost every single detail about the characters, and it's just I really really like that. I liked 3 more than I liked 4. I still really like 4, but I like 3 slightly better than I like 4. Also, 3 has a shadow finding dog, and that's awesome. But anyways, I'll actually move on to the next question now. I kind of figured that that was going to be coming eventually. If I didn't address it now, eventually somebody was going to ask me about Persona 3. So let's get that out of the way now. I'm sure somebody enjoyed it. So, question number 2, which I will answer in this video. Thank you very much, Mr. Shining Bolt. Is Ray's "on your knees" joke from FE10 with the English accent? Did he get that from Rachel Alucard from BlazBlue? No, he did not. As far as I know, Ray has never played BlazBlue, and as far as I know, none of us have actually. I've never played it before. I have some friends that are like really crazy about it, but I've actually never played the game before, so I can tell you that we didn't get that joke from that. The joke originally came from the trailer that we did before we started the game. And when we were making that trailer, already had kind of a general idea of like, this is what I want to do. So I wrote all that out and I pitched it to Trent and Ray because I needed them to be in the video. And they really got in on it, and like they started saying like, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? And like the entire like scene in French, that was totally Trent's idea. And like by the time it was through, I was responsible for like maybe 30% of the trailer, and the rest was all ideas from them. But specifically, that on your knees joke, I'm not sure really where it got down to on your knees, like how it jumped to that. Like I want to say that that was Ray's idea, but but the joke of Micaiah as a dominatrix isn't all that unusual. It's been said plenty of times, just from the fact that Volug is probably a sex slave. Plenty of underlying tones to suggest that, and her Mary Soonness kind of works against her because even though she somehow manages to be the only girl in a group of a 5-person group opposing the Empire, she's still kind of the unofficial leader. Even though she's not the leader, she's just the unofficial leader. So it's like, well, why are all these grown men, taking orders from, the skinny white-haired girl? Because she's a dominatrix. Ha ha ha. But how that specifically turned into on your knees, I kind of can't remember. I want to think that that was actually Ray's joke, that he came up with it, and it just it fits so well. We started saying it a lot. That's really how a lot of our running jokes go. It's like, hey, I like that. I'm gonna say that a couple more times and see if it catches on. And if it does, then yeah. And if it doesn't, then too bad. But that's pretty much where the joke came from. So, question 3 from Mr. Shining Bolt is, what made me want to start Let's Plays / what is my motivation? Really, I started Let's Plays because I wanted to essentially like show games to people that they may not be aware of. Which today my channel is probably not the best for that, but that was the initial idea, and probably my biggest inspiration, like as in terms of like watching other people's videos. Like Proton John gets cited a lot as like a lot of inspirations. My biggest inspiration was Cloud8745 back when he did videos more commonly, and he's an asshole now. I don't especially care for him now, but when he used to do videos a lot, I was really into Cloud8745. And his channel was always different to me because whereas like with other LPers, like I kind of felt like I was being shown a game. With his LPs, it felt to me more like kind of like a group thing. Like, hey, like we are playing and experiencing this game together. Like I felt almost like I was in a giant room full of people, and it's like, hey, we're experiencing this game together, being like, hey, I like that or whatever. And that's ultimately what I wanted to emulate when I started my channel. And even though I don't have exactly too many subscribers by YouTube standards, but on a small scale, I do believe I've replicated that in some way. Certainly in videos with Trent and Ray, where we're just kind of cutting up the whole time, and there's a bit of a friendly atmosphere, I think. So, in terms of like I guess like why I made LPs, or like what really set me off, I guess it was just like, hey, like essentially, I tell people this a lot. People that make LPs and people that watch LPs are essentially the same kind of person. They're just spending their free time in different ways. You're spending your free time watching videos, whereas I'm spending my free time making videos. And that's really the only difference. Like, the only real difference to me between an LPer and somebody who watches LPs is recording equipment, which you can buy on eBay. So that's pretty much what I did. I went online, bought a very crappy Game Bridge and a very crappy USB mic, and I went to business. And that is how we've gone through a whole lot of steps since then. But that's how we got where we are today. So, but thank you for your questions, Mr. Shining Bolts. I think I've probably spent more time on yours than I'm going to spend on anybody else's. But but thank you for your questions. So, next we have Mr. Zero Shadow Spark. I hope none of you guys are girls. Um, and he asks, what is my favorite video game company? Today, I would probably say Atlas. Although it used to be Square Enix, and Square Enix has made like a lot of my favorite games. And like over the years, I've been kind of transitioning like away from Square Enix, but I think that I've made the full transition now, and I'm just completely an Atlas person because they make a lot more of what I want now. I get what I used to expect from Square Enix out of Atlas now. But like, when I was a kid or whatever, I grew up in the golden era of the Japanese RPGs. So, I grew up playing Final Fantasy VII and Chrono Cross and Legend of Dragoon, even though Square Enix didn't make that. But like I grew up playing all those kinds of games. And then as I grew into a teenager, I had Final Fantasy X and I had Kingdom Hearts and stuff like that. So and a lot of those games are even today, I have very fond memories of. I like them a whole lot. But as the years went on, I kind of grew tired of the. I didn't always appreciate changes that they did. I think that the start of the descent of Square Enix as a company, which you'll get a lot of different answers for, but to me, it started with 10.2, and that was like the downhill slope. Like, that wasn't rock bottom, because if you can look past the massive amounts of fan service, Final Fantasy X-2 isn't a terrible game, really. Um, but it wasn't as good as 10. It was nowhere near as good as 10. But as its own game, it wasn't that bad. It could have been a lot worse, I guess what I'm trying to say. But then we hit Final Fantasy 12, which is like a shit stain on the series, I think. Like, Final Fantasy 12 is something that I still haven't gotten over. Like, I still have sort of a seething hatred towards Square that, like, why would you release this? Like, I felt like it was almost like finding out that my best friend was sleeping with my girlfriend behind my back. It's like I felt like betrayed because this game was so bad. And I think that was like the rock bottom point for me. And it's not like Square doesn't still make games that I enjoy sometimes. Like Square made The World Ends With You, which I just got done spieling about why that's my favorite game of all time. So, and it was a big shining proof that like originality still exists in the Square Enix office somewhere. Like, even if it's just the water cooler boy, there is somebody at Square Enix that still has good ideas. So we're not completely hopeless yet, but and they've been getting better. I also enjoyed Dissidia. It's not as good as I wish it was, but I do enjoy it. Final Fantasy 13 was better. I'm not exactly crazy about it. It's an okay game, but it's not a Square Enix game to me. It's better than Final Fantasy 12. I'll play 13 like all day as instead of playing 5 minutes of Final Fantasy 12. Like easy decision, no way. But it wasn't a Square Enix game, which is kind of partially unfair, I think, because had any other company released Final Fantasy 13 like exactly the same way, I probably would have liked it more. But holding it up to the high expectations that I have for Square, I didn't like it. I thought that it could have been way better. So, but now I think I'm a whole lot more of an Atlas person. I started off with Persona 3, and then I played 4, and then I played Devil Survivor, which is a great, 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 great game. You should go play it. Buy Overclocked if you have a 3DS. Um, and I've played Strange Journey. I recently bought Catherine, which is also a pretty good game. And I like their games. I like that they're not afraid to go places that other game companies won't go. I don't just want to talk about the Persona team, but they are the best example. Like somebody on the Persona team has studied up on their Freudian psychology because like half the dungeons in Persona 4 are sexual and some kind of nature, and just like that's. I mean, no other company would do that. Like no other company is gonna make a men's bathhouse level, about with all sorts of homosexual vibes going on. And it's like no other company would have done that, but Atlas. And even when they're not doing RPGs, like Catherine is a really great psychological game. It's like I don't want to go into a mini review of it. I'm gonna try to avoid it if I can. But ultimately, like the aspects of Vincent Brooks as a character, the main character of Catherine, it's ultimately up to the interpretation of the character of the player as to what kind of like man he is, I guess, and how just how like good of a person he is ultimately up to you as I keep saying person, I mean player. It's up to you. Like essentially, you get to interpret like how good of a person he is, and I really really like that. Like I like it that they made a whole game about cheating on your girlfriend. I mean, like nobody else would do that. And getting off the Persona team, getting back to like Devil Survivor. Devil Survivor has all sorts of Christian images going through it. Probably not as many as I would have liked. I think that if had the Persona team made it, it would have been like all Christian all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like Darksiders, is also a pretty good game. It has a lot of pseudo Christian imageries. And Devil Survivor starts out strong with the Christian imageries, and then it kind of slides down into like pseudo Christian. But it's a very interesting game. I recommend it to anybody. And I like I like Atlas games, so they're really nice to me. So that is the answer to your question. Anyways, going on to Mr. Mars. I know you are a man. Mr. Mars, Greek God. It's always nice to see you back on my channel. For people who may not know, Mars was pretty much the first active subscriber that I ever got. Like he wasn't my first subscriber, but he was the first subscriber that like actively commented on videos and like talked to me. So, always got a special place in my heart for you there, Mr. Mars, Greek God. But he asks if I played Terraria, I don't know how to pronounce it, and do I want free items? I do not play that game that I cannot pronounce, nor do I play Minecraft. I've been persuaded, I've been tried to be persuaded into it plenty of times before. Like I have some friends that are really crazy about it, and I'm sure I will eventually play it. But right now, I just haven't gotten bored enough. Like, is really probably the only reason why I haven't. Like, I haven't gotten bored enough to download it and play it because I'm not the most creative person. Like I think that if I played Minecraft, I'll be one of those people that just like makes a penis and then they're done. And that's like kind of the end of my creativity right there. So in that sense, I'm not entirely positive it's a game for me. But I've seen plenty of videos of it. It does look like fun, I will say, and I've seen a lot of people make some pretty cool stuff out of it. So, but I don't play it. No, sorry. His next question is, if I could be a ninja, what color would I wear? I would wear blue because, while it's probably not very effective ninja garb, I could pass myself off as Sub-Zero maybe. If I mean, I kind of get a Mortal Kombat undertone to this question because obviously real ninjas wear black, but Mortal Kombat ninjas can wear varieties of colors. So I would want to wear blue just so I could be disguised in the sky as I descend to take you out, Batman style. Obviously. Question number 3: rapid fire weak weapons or slow strong ones? I will take the machine gun over the shotgun any day, like any day of the week. I've always been a really big fan of it. People that played Mega Man and Bass on the GBA, kind of an underrated game. Anybody that ever played that, you will know that the rapid fire beats slow and strong any day. Bass's machine gun is awesome, and yeah, I much prefer very fast bug bite damage versus like strong damage. So that is definitely my answer. So question number 4. If I could have an aura of emotion and anyone within 15 feet of me would feel that way, what would it be? I actually had to because when I first saw this question, I was thinking about this, like no lie, for probably a good like 45 minutes. I think this is probably one of the strangest questions that I've ever been asked. But it's an interesting question, and I actually like it. So special thanks to you for asking me this. But as far as an answer goes, I think I would want an aura of like reassurance. I guess it's not really an emotion, but I guess like if I had to like pick a straight emotion, I guess I would want like glee or like cheerfulness or something like that. Um, but for my real answer, if I'm allowed to cheat a little bit, like I would want like a sort of like a reassuring aura. Like I would want people around me like to feel like everything was gonna be okay. Like sort of like an aura of comfort. I guess is a better way of that I would like to put it. Definitely not a negative emotion. I would definitely stray away from those. I have a hard enough time trying to get people on YouTube to think that I'm not a tyrant because like when people that watch your videos start talking to you on YouTube, like they feel the need to like humble themselves, like I'm some kind of like special person or something, and it's like like I try my best to create an atmosphere on my channel, of friendliness, and I want everybody to feel like they can, just talk to me like they've known me for a while, even though we've never talked before. And that's what I want. So if I can make somebody, like feel one particular emotion, I would want them to feel like comfortable around me, like regardless of whatever is happening in their lives right now. I would want them to feel like everything's gonna be okay, and we're just gonna have fun doing whatever it is that we're doing, and just like everything is just gonna be okay. And that answer is partially from my LPing, but that I mean that's what I would want. But definitely a strange question. Good on you for asking. So I actually like this question a whole lot. I'm very glad you asked it. But question number 5: if I could be an RPG class in real life, what would I be? And this is I have a different answer for this. than the Fire Emblem class. If I could be any RPG class, I would easily want to be a Dragoon because Dragoons kick ass and they're awesome. Uh, in terms of like when I talked about being a Myrmidon, in terms of like my physical dimensions, nowhere close. I cannot jump 50 feet in the air, but yeah, entirely fantastical. But yeah, I would totally want to be a Dragoon class because I always have sort of an affinity for the melee classes when I play games like Tactics Advance and stuff like that. So, and I've always really liked the Dragoons. Probably stemming from the Legend of Dragoon, which is a very good game. And although that's not quite the image people get in their heads when they think of Dragoons, it kind of started it off for me. And then also when I did my very first playthrough ever of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance on the Game Boy, which I don't have my original cartridge anymore, so I can't prove it to people, unfortunately. But I had the most like awesome Dragoon, the most kick-ass Dragoon you ever saw in your life on that file. Like he smited people. It was a Dragoon White Monk because the White Monk skills are still melee orientated, and it gave him a little bit more range than he would have got normally as a Dragoon, a little bit more. But there wasn't really like any better options for that unless you wanted to go for like Templar or something. But if you use a magic class on a Bonga, you're doing it wrong. So it was Dragoon White Monk, and he killed everything. And I wish that I could show it to people, but like I would like solo missions with this Dragoon. Like he could clear entire missions all by himself because like the least amount of damage he would ever do to you was like 150. And I mean, he could use Far Fist off the White Monk. He could, the Dragoons fight with spears. You can shoot 2 spaces ahead. They had the breath spells. They had jump. They had, all sorts of range options. Earth Render, it could hit you as long as you were on the same row slash column. So all sorts of range options, and it's a very good class. And I will never forget the day that me and Omni, actually, my friend that does Pokemon Coliseum with me, sort of got into this bet when we were originally playing through Tactics Advance as to like which one of us could beat each other in a fight, because there isn't a versus mode in or not a real versus mode in Tactics Advance. There are co-op missions that you can do through a link cable, but there is no like straight like clan fighting clan. So what we decided to do was start a co-op mission and then do nothing but fight each other. And I will never forget the day that like we started this fight, because I've been bragging on my Dragoon this whole time, and like nobody believed me. Like Omni was just like, please, like my mages can kick your Dragoon's ass. So like we're starting the fight or whatever. Dragoons have very poor movement, so I'm going like 4 or 5 spaces ahead, and like he gets his big strong mages out there, like a couple of to be fair, they were a couple of levels lower than me. But, first turn, he moves the mage out, and he casts Thundaga on my Dragoon, and it does 2 damage. And my Dragoon has almost 500 HP. And, like, I looked up at him, and, like, all hope, like, and I don't say this literally, like, the hope drained from his face. Like, as soon as he saw that 2 damage, he just, like, squeaked, like, oh shit. And I was like, hell yeah, you're about to lose. And I did. I quite won. And, as there are more fair observations made about that. Obviously, like I said, his characters were a couple of levels lower than mine, but not an extreme amount, so. And then also, Thundaga is not exactly one of the stronger spells in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, but it's nothing to shake your shoulder at either. So, I was very happy. So yeah, that is my awesome Dragoon. If I could be any class, I'd want to be a Dragoon. Any day. I'll take Kane over Cecil any day of the week. So, question number 6 would be what class slash gender slash race would I pick for my other 3 party members? Well, I'm kind of stereotypical in my party roles and the characters that I associate with different classes. Because when I think of, and this is kind of sexist, I realize, but when I think about like white mage slash like the mainstream healer class, the picture that I get in my head is instantly of a girl, and I know that's kind of not fair. But I mean, like the sprite of Final Fantasy 1 for the white mage looks very feminine, and I mean it's usually the role. Like growing up, that was kind of the role that the girl got a whole lot more, and I associate it with. But no party is complete without a mainstream healer. You gotta have the white mage. So I'll take my female white mage. I don't especially care. They don't have to be different races. Everybody can be human. I don't really have a thing for the bunny girls or any of the other races that permeate classic RPGs. So, but besides that, we gotta have somebody tank the damage. So we need some sort of physical class, because since I'm a dragoon, even though dragoon is a physical class, it's not the most tankiest of physical classes. So I would have somebody better from a defensive standpoint that still had good offense, and that would definitely be a paladin, and he would be male, because again, I'm kind of sexist when it comes to my stereotype party roles. So we'd have the paladin. He could defend us. They have all sorts of defensive skills. He could still deal out damage. So that would always be nice. And then for the last one, I would want an offensively heavy magic class. Again, this is a pretty typical RPG class, party, I know, but it works. I like it. But I would want a heavy magic damaging class. Probably want to go with Black Mage. I think I would want a Summoner from Tactics Advance. Going back to that, I think I would take that over the Black Mage, because they're a lot more like versatile. Like they don't just do damage. Like sometimes they do damage, and maybe now they can do an ailment, or sometimes their summons they give shell and protect on the whole party, or sometimes they heal you, or like they have that kind of more versatility, more than black mages. They go through MP like nobody's business, but that's what you buy others for. So that would be my RPG party. The summoner would also be a girl, because yeah, it's sexist. So that would be my party. 2 guys, 2 girls. Each of us have one. So, and thank you again for your questions. Always nice to see you on the channel, Mars. And finally, from Mike Stiggy 2, who actually, I saw your original comment before you deleted it. I was so tempted to just tell you, like, hey, I kind of already recorded more Mario Brothers 3, because like we actually we recorded that batch a good 3 weeks ago now. 2 weeks ago when you asked the question, it'd been about 2 weeks since we recorded. I don't know why you waited so long to upload it, but that's his choice and not mine. But yeah, I was so tempted to just tell you, like, hey, we already did it. But I held back. But the question he now has is, what game would I think would be the worst to play with the lag that I get when I LP in Mario Brothers 3 with Trent? Well, and really, Mario Brothers 3 probably is the worst game to play with lag, as we've all recently become aware of. Because I mean, I am not an exceptional Marioer, but I'm not bad. I'm certainly not as bad as we come across when we do Mario Bros. 3. So, those kind of that kind of like 2D platformer is always bad. But to give you a real answer, I would hate to play a fighting game with lag that bad. Because I'm kind of big on fighting games. I don't have Xbox Live, but a friend of mine does. So whenever I go over to her house or she comes over here, like we always hop on the Xbox Live and we play some. I'm sorry, I had to yawn. We play some fighting games. So. And I'm the kind of person that gets really annoyed with lag when I'm playing something competitive. Like Mario Bros. 3 is, all for fun, so it doesn't get to me so much there. But when I'm playing to win, I get annoyed with lag. So, I think the worst game for me to play would be, like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or Mortal Kombat or something like that. A competitive fighting game where my button presses are my actions are happening a good 3 to 4 seconds after I hit the button, and not exaggerating with that. I would be pretty upset. I'd probably disconnect. So, yeah, I'd be one of those losers. I don't normally disconnect, but if I were ever in that situation where lag was that bad, I would probably disconnect. So, but thank you, good sir, for asking your questions. And that brings us to the end of this wonderful Q&A. So this has been a whole lot of fun, actually. I've kind of been looking forward to doing this. I enjoy talking about my tastes and stuff that I like. So thank you everybody for sending your questions. I hope you have enjoyed my answers and stuff. And I will hope that you stick around the channel for all kinds of nice stuff in the future. But thank you guys for sending your questions, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.